Hey guys! It's been a little while since I posted, but before you get upset with me, like all the people that are upset with me on Twitter and Instagram telling me, pregnancy isn't that hard, you could put up one video a week, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I couldn't film. My eye was swollen because, yeah, pregnancy is hard. And now my body just decided that I'm allergic to the eyelash extensions that I've been getting for over a year. I'm just allergic now, okay? Don't believe me. Just watch. And that's when it was looking good. Alright, so give your girl a fucking break. Nobody wanted to see that. Anyway, today I have a conspiracy theory video. It's not so much a conspiracy theory as it is just a conspiracy video. Is there a difference? This is not a theory video, it's just like talking about people's experience of being abducted by aliens. A lot of people don't believe in aliens, which is so bizarre to me. This universe is so vast, we will never in our lifetimes be able to explore even a fraction of it, and we still believe that we're the only planet on Earth that has life on it? That doesn't make any sense. So if you're one of those people that does not believe in aliens, who knows? Maybe this video could change your mind. This first story is about two people named Betty and Barney Hill. And this was one of the first ever reports of an alien abduction. So in 1961, the couple claimed that they were abducted on the way home from a vacation in Canada. Betty noticed a bright light in the sky from her car. They stopped the car so that they can get a better look at the light, and then the light actually started coming towards them. The way that they described it is it was flying towards them. So basically this couple got really curious. They're like, what is this? And Betty, which is kind of weird to me, actually started waving for the light to come closer to her. She wanted to see what it was. So that's when supposedly an aircraft, a hovercraft, a UFO, pulled from out of the mountains and hovered over the road that they were on. Now I know this sounds really weird, but just stick with me. So Barney said that he could see inside of the ship, he saw like people that looked like men. And he actually started getting the feeling that these men were trying to capture him and Betty. So at this point, because they had both gotten out of the car to kind of explore what was happening, when they felt like, oh shit, maybe this isn't a good situation, they ran back into the car and sped off. So Betty says she heard beeping sounds and it felt like something hit the trunk of their car. They ended up driving 30 more miles and getting off on a side road, and when they got off on the side road, they saw all these men that they had seen inside the spacecraft or UFO, whatever. They saw these men on the road blocking their way so that they couldn't get past anymore on the road. So the weirdest part is the next thing that they remember is pulling into their house. 3 hours later, the sun was up, it wasn't nighttime anymore, and they don't know what the fuck happened. Betty's dress had been ripped and there was like a strange pink powder on it. There were circles on the trunk of their car, and whenever you would hold a compass up to it, the compass would go fucking crazy. But regardless, neither of them remembered anything after that moment on the road. After seeing those men blocking their way, they don't remember anything. All they remember was pulling into their house, which is super weird. So over time, the couple became like really traumatized with the situation. They had nightmares constantly. They were completely traumatized by this event. They didn't know what happened to them and it was really uncomfortable. And so they ended up actually seeking medical help because they couldn't deal with it anymore. And this led the couple to a psychiatrist who hypnotized them, which after seeing Get Out, no thank you. But they got hypnotized and this helped them regain the memory of what happened. They had memories of being examined by these people that look like people, but they remember them also not being humans. They were bald with no protruding ears. I don't know what that means, but I guess no ears that were protruding. But otherwise, they said they looked and sounded human. They spoke a little bit of English, but it was very limited. And Betty remembers seeing a map, a star map, on board the ship that she says is where they're from. The creepiest part of this story, I know you're probably thinking like, okay, this is all bullshit, why are you even talking about this? Well, this is where the really creepy part comes in. Under hypnosis, she was able to replicate the star map that she saw on the ship. And that star map ended up being matched up to a galaxy called Zeti Reticuli, something along those lines. But the creepiest part about this is that galaxy wasn't discovered until years after Betty identified it and was able to draw it. Betty unfortunately passed away in 2004, but until the day that she died, she stuck with this story. And she was always able to recount it in detail. Her story never changed, and it's just, to me, that's just insane. The next story happened in 1975. And this one's, I mean, they're all fucking crazy, but this one's just weird because there were so many witnesses. A man named Travis Walton was one of 7 that was in a pickup truck on the way back from their lumber jobs. He was one of 7 men in that car, and all of the men noticed a mysterious light that was coming from the trees just off the road as they were driving. And that's just the weird pattern that happens in these stories, is the fucking light. Initially, the men thought that it was either a crashed plane or a forest fire, but they weren't sure. But they said as they got closer to it, it appeared to be a spaceship. Travis told the men to stop, and he wanted to kind of look like the tough guy, the guy that was like willing to check this shit out. What he says happened is he ended up under a hovering aircraft that was sending down vibrations vibrations that were so strong that he could feel it. Everyone kind of realized what was going on. Maybe they didn't realize, but they knew that some fucking weird shit was about to happen. So everyone in the truck started yelling for him to turn around and come back. And he did. He decided that he was gonna turn around and return to the truck. And just when he did that, he says the noise of the aircraft got louder. It began to rock back and forth, and a shock went through him, which knocked him unconscious. So what the crew says happened is that there was a near blinding light that occurred at that same time. And they all of these people claim that they saw Travis being picked up and thrown so violently that they thought he was dead. They thought there was no way that he could possibly survive being thrown like that. So in a panic, the crew drove off, which is bizarre, but also I don't know how I would react in that situation. So they drove off and they informed the police. And some of the crew, not all of them, returned with the police that night to where all of that had happened, and there was no trace of Travis anywhere. The next thing that Travis remembers after he got shocked was waking up in a hospital-like room, but instead of doctors and nurses, he saw creatures that looked like aliens. He says that the creatures were about 4 feet tall, with small mouths and noses and big eyes. Another creature, he said, held him down and put a mask over him that made him unconscious again. Sometime later, obviously he doesn't remember how much time, he woke up face down on the pavement. He looked up and witnessed the aircraft basically disappear into the sky. When he finally got in touch with people, he realized that 5 days had passed, although to him it felt like all of that happened on the same night. Two of the witnesses were John Gouletter, I'm sorry, and Steve Pierce. Those were 2 of the 7 men that were there that night, have come forward and told their accounts of what happened that night, but most of the men refuse to talk about it. They have suffered with trauma from what they've seen. There's no proof on this one, but I mean, there are witnesses and this did happen. Like, he actually did disappear and they couldn't find him, and then all of a sudden 5 days later he turned up. All of that is true, and according to the 7 men that were there that night, they all saw this happen. I have 3 more stories. I know this might be getting a little long, but honestly, I'm interested in this. If you're not interested in this, you can go. But this is just crazy. So Jesse Leung claims to have been abducted many times, not just one time. He's said to have been continuously abducted since he was 5 years old in 1957. That's when it all started for him. The way that he was able to recall what happened was also through hypnosis, and he was able to recall that he was abducted by creatures that put an implant in his left leg. So 34 years later, after all of this had happened, he decided that he was gonna have a surgery to take out what was in his left leg. He always had a bump there, but he just never knew what it was. Then through hypnosis, he found that it was something that the alien supposedly put inside of him, and he decided to get it out. At first, when it was removed, it just looked like a small shard of glass. It was then examined in the Southwest Research Institute, who stated in an official report that the object, quote, revealed a very remarkable composition and exhibited unique surface characteristics that cannot be explained, and that the questions outnumbered the answers. Leung has also taken lie detector tests and has passed all of them when recounting his abduction experiences. The weird part of this one is the people that did an official report on this have absolutely no reason to lie. And I know that lie detector tests are, you know, not considered reliable, but I found that one interesting. I wanted to put it in there, even though it was kind of a quick one. Because to me, when you look at it, it just looks like fucking glass, but apparently that's not fucking glass. Nobody knows what the fuck that is. So this next story is about a cop, and that got me. When I saw that, I was like, oh shit, because cops never want to give in to this type of shit. Like, I feel like a cop would be the last person to lie about aliens. But in 1979, Deputy Val Johnson was on patrol when he saw a bright object off the highway, and this was all taking place in a rural town in Minnesota. I don't know where Minnesota is, but I'm pretty sure it's in the middle of nowhere. No offense. The light then got closer to him, and here's what happened next.
The light was coming at me. It was extremely bright. The inside of the car lit up. I can remember that. And it was a very dazzling, brilliant occurrence.
His story is that while driving along a country road on night patrol, he saw a light in the far distance. After he'd been watching it for a while, it started moving towards him. He maintains that he blacked out, and when he came to, his car had been thrown across the road. Later examination revealed that the car itself had been damaged.
So he basically said that he lost consciousness, and when he finally regained it, realized that his car had been thrown across the road, the windshield was cracked, the hood was dented in, and one of the headlights had been shattered. Also, the antenna of the car had been bent, and he had welder burns on his eyes, which he was later treated for. Upon further examination, they found that the clock in his car as well as his watch both stopped for 14 minutes at the same times during this whole incident. I don't know how they were able to tell that, but if that's true, that's creepy. His supervisor at the time was Sheriff Dennis Breck, and he said, "We do believe that our deputy had an encounter with something that we haven't been able to explain yet on this date." This story kind of just coincides with the other alien abductions. They're all kind of similar in a weird way. The only difference about this case is that it was brought forward by a guy who was a cop, which is a big difference from just a regular civilian who comes forward with this type of thing. Not that it's not credible in that state, but it's intense when it's a cop coming forward and a sheriff backing him up, etc. But not only did he just come forward, he had the physical evidence of the car. And fun fact now, the fucking car is on display in a museum in Minnesota, the Marshall County Museum. So if you ever want to see that fucked up car, go to Marshall County Museum. I want to go now, but I don't want to go to Minnesota. No offense. This is the last story. So this is about a 22-year-old named Amy Rylands. She was sleeping in her home in Queensland, Australia, when a friend actually witnessed her being carried out through the living room window by a beam of light. What the fuck? While remembering the incident, the witness said this.
I've seen Amy in front of me on a beam of light being carried out of the living room window into a really huge ship outside.
There was absolutely no trace of Amy after this. So her friend informed her husband, who ended up calling the police. 3 hours later, the husband received a phone call, and it was from someone who was claiming to have found a distraught woman at a gas station nearly 500 miles from their house. Please get a grip on that idea. And that woman ended up being Amy. They found scars on her body, and she experienced an abnormally rapid amount of hair growth. The physical evidence that backs this up was that there was a burnt bush right outside of her house by that window, and the window that she was carried out of was completely shattered. So anyway, that is it for this conspiracy video. As you can tell, I mean, I'm just sharing the stories that I thought were the most valid, the ones that I thought could actually be true. So I don't think I'm gonna call this a conspiracy theory video, but it's definitely a conspiracy video. I'm telling you, I think those things are different things. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it creepy or interesting or all of the above or none of the above. I don't know. Anyway, if you guys enjoy these conspiracy and conspiracy theory videos, let me know. Tell me some ones you would like for me to cover, and I will research them and make sure they're real. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Please subscribe to my channel because I put out new videos every Tuesday and Saturday when my eye is not swollen as fuck and I don't look like Quasimodo. And I will see you on Tuesday. Bye!